Have you ever looked into the cosmic void and felt like the stars were staring back at you? Finding your zodiac constellation isn't just a hobby. It is a profound spiritual alignment that bridges ancient starlight with your soul. Discover why this visual connection acts as a mirror to your internal rhythm. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going on a wild journey, all the way from the ancient Babylonian gods who first mapped the skies, right up to the modern, rigorous scientific testing of astrology. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because to truly understand astrology, we have to go way back. We're talking about a time when tracking celestial bodies was, quite literally, a matter of life and death. Early humans? They weren't looking at the sky to figure out their dating compatibility on a Friday night. No, they were watching the heavens to try and understand the actions of what they believed were literal gods. Gods who completely controlled the weather, the crops, and their very survival.
I mean, the historical weight of this subject is just immense. We're treating the origins of astrology with a lot of respect in this explainer today, because it's a belief system that fundamentally shaped early civilization, science, and human history as a whole. It's a huge part of our human story.
Act 1. The Ancient Origins.
So early astrology was absolutely not about daily horoscopes. It was actually a tool of statecraft, used for predicting the fate of kings. Around 3000 BC, Babylonian priests, who were basically known as inspectors, started mapping the heavens purely for public omens. Fast forward to the 4th century BC, and this Babylonian system spreads into Greece. And the Greeks did something revolutionary. They democratized it. They believed the stars could actually influence individuals, not just giant empires. This whole idea snowballed over centuries, culminating in Ptolemy's text, the Tetrabiblos, which, amazingly, remains the sort of Bible of astrology to this very day.
To actually assign meaning to the sky, these ancient priests linked the wandering planets to their pantheon of gods. And it's fascinating. The Babylonian deities seamlessly mapped right onto their Greek equivalents. So Jupiter became Marduk, and then Zeus. Venus went from Ishtar to Aphrodite. And the specific characteristics of these gods, well, they form the absolute bedrock for the astrological personality traits that we still talk about today.
Act 2. Mapping the Human Horoscope.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the literal translation of the word horoscope. It translates to marker of the hour. The Greeks were the ones who really pioneered natal astrology. They developed this deep belief that the exact, precise moment of your birth acted as a sort of magical anchor, permanently linking your destiny and your personality to the exact configuration of the sky at that very second.
And they took this incredibly literally. Ancient Greek and Egyptian astrologers actually went ahead and mapped the zodiac directly onto the human anatomy. The ram ruled the head, Gemini the shoulders, Virgo the bladder, all the way down to the fishes ruling the feet. They deeply intertwined astrology with early medicine, literally prescribing medical treatments based on where the planets were aligned. Wild, right?
Act 3. Pop astrology and personality. And this brilliantly illustrates how modern pop culture uses this ancient system today. If we look closely, we find some pretty stark contradictions in contemporary astrological texts. Take Scorpios, for instance. On the left side here, some texts describe Scorpios as these highly mysterious figures, actively using deception and hiding truths to maintain control and protect themselves. Yet, look on the right. Other texts describe Scorpios as craving absolute, pure transparency, hating deception entirely, and viewing honesty as the purest form of love. It's a complete 180.
Modern pop astrology loves to assign highly specific motivations for deception based purely on an individual sun sign. So Geminis supposedly lie just to add drama to a story. Leos embellish so they can be the hero. Pisces lie to escape a harsh reality. Libras use white lies to keep the peace, and Cancers hide truths just to protect the feelings of those they love. Basically, these texts treat incredibly complex human behaviors as if they are fixed, predetermined traits you're just born with.
Then you have signs like Virgo. Across almost all the texts, Virgos are universally described as being painfully honest. On one hand, their highly analytical minds supposedly allow them to instantly spot any inconsistency or lie told to them. On the other hand, they are deemed so orderly and practical that they are entirely incapable of lying themselves. Which raises an incredibly ironic paradox, doesn't it? Perhaps the most official lie told by every Virgo is convincing the rest of the zodiac that they are completely incapable of telling one. I mean, it's the perfect cover. But all of this tees up a really crucial question. Is any of this actually true?
Act 4. The Scientific Reality.
Moving away from cultural beliefs for a second, let's look at this through the lens of objective science. It really forces us to ask, does the position of the stars determine who we are, or does our genetic makeup? If birth is this magical moment that astrology claims it is, what physical forces are actually at play in that delivery room? Simply put, a straightforward word calculation shows that the gravitational pull of the obstetrician delivering a newborn baby is actually greater than the gravitational pull of the planet Mars. Let that sink in.
So, the crucial point is understanding a scientific concept called axial precession. You see, the Earth actually wobbles on its axis, kind of like a spinning top, completing a cycle every 26,000 years. This astronomical reality means the constellations have slowly but surely been shifting westward along the ecliptic ever since the Babylonians first mapped them out.
Because of this axial precession, the astrological signs are fundamentally out of step with the actual night sky by about one full zodiac sign. So if your daily newspaper horoscope tells you that you're an Aries, the actual physical constellation the sun was sitting in on the day you were born was very likely Pisces. The sky has moved, but the astrological calendar, it just hasn't.
Act 5. Putting astrology to the test.
Let's examine how statisticians have rigorously tested these astrological claims. In one absolutely fascinating study, researchers looked at the re-enlistment records of the U.S. Marine Corps. The hypothesis here was simple. It takes a very specific, strong, and dedicated personality to re-enlist in the Marines, right? If sun signs actually dictate personality, these soldiers should cluster heavily in specific astrological signs. The result? They were distributed completely randomly across all 12 signs. Sun sign astrology held zero predictive power over this major life choice.
But wait, what about personal readings? Surely those are more accurate. Well, French statistician Michel Gauquelin once sent a highly personalized astrological reading to 150 people. A staggering 94% of them reported back saying they recognized themselves perfectly in that reading. The catch? The horoscope he sent them was actually generated using the birth data of one of the worst mass murderers in French history. No way, right?
And it gets crazier. In another test, a researcher named Jeffrey Dean secretly reversed all the astrological personality traits in the readings he handed out to his subjects. He literally gave them the exact opposite of what their chart actually said. Yet 95% of the subjects still completely agreed that the reading described them perfectly.
All of this leads us to the scientific community's neutral consensus today. Astrology is classified as a pseudoscience. It simply lacks predictive power and physical evidence. Modern astrologers often end up acting primarily as amateur therapists. They offer vague, comforting truths and a listening ear, which, naturally makes people feel better and more understood, completely regardless of what the stars are doing. Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought. If the stars don't actually map our destiny, what does our enduring 5,000-year fascination with them say about us? Perhaps it's just proof of our deep, incredibly human desire for connection, meaning, and order in what can often feel like a chaotic universe. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep staying curious about the cosmos, and honestly, even more curious about human psychology.